Good evening. Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Lindsey Queen. Tonight's debate is the second of a series of 2 debates sponsored by the Ashland County Young Republicans between County Commissioner candidates Michael Barrett, Denny Bittle, John Hadam, Justin Van Stee, and Mike Bender, who cannot be with us tonight. Tonight's debate is being simulcast live on AUTV20 and also live on the radio on 88.9 FM WRDL. The broadcast is being produced live by the students and faculty of the Department of Journalism and Digital Media of Ashland University. The format for tonight's debate will involve opening statements and a series of questions. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for their opening statement, at which point we will proceed to 3 questions. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to respond, and then the other candidates will have 1 minute to respond to the previous candidate's answers. Since one of the 5 Republican candidates will not be able to make it this evening, we will be able to hear from the remaining 4 simultaneously. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Lindsey.
Mr. Van Stee will begin with opening statements.
Thank you. Appreciate you moderating again tonight, and thank you for Ashland University and the Young Republicans for hosting this. I'm Justin Van Stee. I'm running on the Republican ticket for County Commissioner. I'm the owner of Takedown Tactical, which is located out on 58, just on the north side of town. I've been married to my wife Jill for almost 17 years. We have a daughter Erica, who is in 2nd grade at Hillsdale. The platforms I'm running on are basically getting fair funding for all county agencies. In addition to that, working with the Economic Development Office on getting other business in town, and then also improving communications between the county commissioner's office and the public, and letting them know what's really going on out there, where the money's being spent, and why they're doing it. Also, I want to implement short and long-term funding planning for all the agencies. Some of the agencies we've been discussing with, asking them, what's your budget for next year, or where are you planning for next year? And, a lot of them don't have a clue. They're not planning ahead. So that's pretty much what I'm about and what I'm trying to do.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle?
Lindsey. I'm Denny Bittle, running for County Commissioner, obviously, as all 4 of us are. I want to thank Ashland University and the Young Republicans for hosting this event. I think it's important that we get out there as much as we can to give everybody our ideas. I've been married for 37 years to my bride, Randy. 3 daughters and 3 son-in-laws, all live in Ashland County. 5 grandchildren, soon to be 6. I'm not going to tell you which child, though. I get in trouble. So we do have 6 grandchildren, all live in the county, all grown up in the county. Went to Ashland through 9th grade, moved down to Hillsdale, graduated from Hillsdale High School. So that's kind of the education front and back of the county. I believe the biggest issues for this county will be Job and Family Services. I think the issues that they present to this county between the children and the jobs needs 100% focused on. I went to the job fair here recently that Ashland University held here, and I talked to 12 or 14 of the employers there. Everyone told me the same thing. Their big issue is getting people to want to work. We had 40 from in-county, out-of-county employers, 200 to 300 people looking for jobs. Everyone told me the same thing. We don't have a job issue, we have a wanting people to work issue. I think that's a huge focus for me. Taking care of the children in the county, getting them placed quickly and with good families is very important to me. I think that's the number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barrett?
Thank you, Lindsey. Thanks to the Young Republicans and Ashland University for holding this event again. First, I want to say hi to my 2 young children, Carter and Vivian, who are watching. They're probably really excited right now. I'm married to my wife, Ann, who was formerly Ann LaRue. We've been married since 2008. We have 2 young children. I chose to move to Ashland 2007 from the Cleveland area. When we were married, my wife had a house here, and so did I. I had a house up there, and we decided to move here. We felt it was a good place to raise our children and start a family and live. I've been working at Ashland University since 1991. However, I'm leaving. This is my final year. I've decided to retire from there. I recently moved my parents down here as well. They're at Brethren Care Village now. So I have basically my whole family here. My wife's family's here. So I really feel like this is a good place to kind of concentrate family for elderly people and for young children. My background, I obviously have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Baldwin Wallace. I've worked on doctoral work from University of Akron. My background is basically law enforcement and criminal justice. I worked for the Cleveland Police Department, worked for the Ohio Attorney General's office. I've worked for Ashland University as full-time jobs, and I've had a number of part-time jobs with various other law enforcement agencies. I currently work for the Loudonville Police Department part-time, and I still help run a police academy in the Cleveland area as well. My idea here is basically this county commissioner's job is a full-time job, and it needs full-time attention. I don't know if the public's aware, but county commissioners make, with their benefit package, probably over $50,000 a year. I don't take that lightly. I believe that's a job you need to focus on and concentrate on. I decided to run. I knew I was leaving Ashland, and I want to focus on that. I want to help the community, get the budget in line, attend to children and family services, and the justice system, which consumes most of the budget. Our primary focus is the budget. That's what county commissioners do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hadam.
Yes, my name is John Hadam, and thank you, Lindsey, for asking us to come. I worked my way through college through a 2-year degree and then a 4-year degree, and I've got a degree in business management. I'm a small business owner for 32 years. I married my wife, Nancy. We've been married 39 years, and we've got 5 grown children. 2 of them live in Ashland, and 3 of them are in, one of them is another state, and the other 2 are up north a little bit. I was a volunteer fire chief for 24 years, and I was on a volunteer fire department for 28 years. And I know what it is to serve and to help people. I was a past 4-H advisor. I'm on a GAPI board in Orange Township. I'm on Orange Township Appeals Board, and I live on a farm. I raise beef cattle and bees. I'm a member of St. Edward's Church. My mission is to keep the job on a common sense approach. I'd like to communicate with the people, and I would like to keep our rural atmosphere in our county. I also would like to work with the cities, the villages, and the townships. I know their budgets are stretched, somehow that we can work this out, and I would like to work with all the departments to find out how we could all communicate together, better do things, and have better issues so that we could sit down and make sensible decisions in a common sense approach. And that's why I'm running for county commissioner. Thank you.
Mr. Bittle will go first to answer question number 1, and that will also be followed by everyone's 1-minute response. So Mr. Bittle, several of you have mentioned creating jobs and/or attracting new business to Ashland County. This is not a new idea, so what plans do you have to make new jobs happen in the county?
That's a very tough one. You have to work with all your local entities that create those. The state is a very important part of that. I think we need to get down more to a national level for this stuff. I know Justin had worked with a gun manufacturer that would try to come in, but they didn't like Ohio laws. They didn't think that we were gun friendly enough. I mean, issues like that we can't control. I think we would have had a very good shot to get a facility like that. They ended up going to Tennessee because they're much more gun friendly. That's just an example of you can only do so much local. You need your states to be involved to bring companies into here. So I think it's very important we work with our state legislators, get down there and say, okay, these are the type of things we need to do as a state so we as a community can attract new businesses. Also, I think we need to be more friendly. There's a local business that's here now that doesn't feel as welcome as I believe they should be. I'm not going to name it at this point, but I'm very disappointed in the city and the county with this small new startup company that they're just not helping them the way I think it should be. Now, I believe that some of that is just from maybe getting missed in the cracks. You know, there's just so much going on. Sometimes I think we miss the little guy, the small guy that's going to start and grow a business here. They want to be in Ashland. They moved to Ashland because this is where they want their company to be. So I think we need, from a community standpoint, back them a little bit more than what we have on some of the other projects.
Mr. Barrett, your 1-minute response.
I'm interested in the jobs issue. Obviously, everybody would like more jobs here. I just question the role of the county commissioner in that. County commissioners basically deal with budgets and the income the county has at its disposal from taxes and other fees. There is some opportunity, as Mr. Bittle said, to work with state officials and maybe federal officials. There's always a catch when you try to move businesses into the county. Some of them want tax abatements, for example, that hurts the schools. So it's a difficult chore. County commissioners have a limited ability to do those kinds of things. And I think that's more of a distraction right now. I'd rather spend my time worrying about the money we have and how it's just allotted rather than trying to figure out how to get somebody else to move here.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam.
Okay, I think jobs are important, but I don't think the state's going to give us much help. What I think our situation is, we need to find out what type of jobs are out there in our community. I would go to the vocational school, I would go to the other schools, and I would try to push that type of education and find out what we could train these people for. You need to get involved with the young people. You need to get them to be ambitious. You need to get them to work. Even the farmers are having a hard time finding people. So I would say we had a job fair, and it didn't seem like a lot of people showed up. We need to get out and get people enthused about going to work, number one.
Mr. Vanstee.
As Denny said, that definitely you have to sell the county. He's 100% correct on that. Where it is the county commissioner's role to help sell that. Is it the county commissioner's role to train the workforce? Probably not. There's better places in around to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, could you also answer the question several of the candidates have mentioned creating new jobs and or attracting new business to the county. What plans do you have to make these jobs happen?
Well, as I indicated, county commissioners have a limited ability to do that. We have economic development boards. A lot of this has to do with how the state markets the state itself. We heard last night from Representative Hall about how the state has lowered income taxes, which has encouraged businesses to move here, second in the nation recently. So I think the state has a lot to do with that. Certainly raising our taxes is not a thing that will attract businesses here, whether it's income tax or property tax. As I indicated before, we can give tax abatements. That happens. Other states do it. The problem with that is it punishes the schools because they don't get the property taxes for several years down the road. Economic development zones might be an answer. Enterprise zones, sometimes they're called, that are specialized areas that are created to lure businesses in. They're kind of like neutral areas where businesses can operate kind of in a free market environment. I might look into that to see how that would work. My whole goal is though to research these things and see what is viable and what has the least negative impact on the county. We would all like to have jobs, but it's like physics. There's always a reaction when you do something. There's always a reaction against that. So we have to make sure what we're doing to create jobs is not hurting us in some other way. For example, when you do use tax abatements, companies that are already here decide, well, how come we're not getting those tax abatements? Why don't they give us tax breaks? You can have companies move, even locally move. It's happened up in Cleveland. A company moved from Brooklyn to Westlake because Westlake gave them tax abatements and Brooklyn wouldn't. It's American greeting. And so it creates ill will amongst communities that are in a region, so I'm not in favor of that. I just think you need to research things and look into them before you do them and plan down the road a little bit.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam.
I think the tax abatements, I think you do need something. You need to have rules and regulations set up for these things. Everybody's doing it throughout the whole country, and that's why we are losing things, okay? There has to be a guideline so that you can go back to the companies, and if they don't do the things that you require, you penalize them by taking some of their abatements away. As long as you enforce these things, I don't like them either, but the thing is there's trying times and you have to do something to make things work, and it's an option that we have and we could try it.
Thank you. Mr. Vanstee.
Touching back to something that Mr. Barrett said, where he talks about, the county commissioners are responsible for the budget. He didn't know quite what the role was on basically bringing jobs in. there's currently one county commissioner sitting on an economic development board. It is the county commissioners, they need to be one of the faces of the community that they see, be able to welcome these businesses with open arms who may be looking at relocating here.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle?
Yeah, as I said when I went to the job fair, I've got a lot of responses from those people that I showed up and they thought, well, you do care. And as Justin said, you have to be the leader of the community. You have to be out there in front and showing people that, yes, we do want you here. We do want the people to be employed. I think that's critical. I just was surprised at the responses I've got. That's why you showed up and you cared. Well, yeah, I told every one of them, I thanked them for being here, being at the job fair, trying to get our people employed that is from Ashland County. Because I think probably half were outside Ashland County employers that was there, which obviously helps the county. Get them employed, they live in the county, they're employed in the county, pay taxes and employ. So the job just isn't always just Ashland County. Like I've said before, I think it's important to train people to want to work. I think that's our biggest failure, and that's super important to me.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam? So, same question about the creation of jobs and attracting new business to the county. How do you propose to bring those new jobs into Ashland?
You need to have a pro-business attitude. You need to cooperate with the people that own these businesses and go in there in a positive attitude, because I've been in some places where some of the people, whether they be the zoning inspectors, the building inspectors, they go in there and the people are deathly afraid of these people. We need to have an attitude. What can we do to help you get your business started, get it going, and how can we get it going faster? The comments were, right now we have to go through Richland County to get all of our commercial building projects accomplished. Okay, maybe we need to look into get our own building department set up here so that we could do it ourselves. We can get these businesses that want to come here and get them in business quicker.
Thank you. Mr. Vanstee, what is your response?
With the zoning aspect, 100%. We need to have more of a local feel on that rather than contracting somebody out of Richland County. The one thing that he mentioned was in one of the previous rebuttals was keeping the city and keeping the county rural. Putting business in the city is great. That helps everybody. But if you want the tax money coming into the county, they need you need to have businesses out in the county as well, not just in the city.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle?
Part of the issue is not just, again, local. When I built my buildings for the car washes, BB&C, everything had to go through the state. They have state building codes, state regulations, all the inspection that goes on in that, which is daunting. And it can be very time-consuming and very delayful and expensive. So there is an issue that would be very important if we could get our local inspectors. I believe they're working on that now to try to get local inspectors, which would make that task a little easier. But again, a lot of that stuff goes back to the state regulations, federal regulations for the builders. So some of that we can't do much about, but we can do a lot about getting stuff done locally and not have to depend on other counties and other state agencies to do that for us.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, what is your response?
I would agree a local building inspector would be a good idea, maybe to try to speed the process up. I know even businesses like Belly Busters had a lot of red tape to go through when they were opening in Loudonville. So the idea would be to try to make the process faster. I think county commissioners, as I said, being in a full-time capacity can be out front and trying to encourage things like this, try to push things along, and make businesses feel like they're welcome. Of course, again, being involved in economic development would be a good thing, and maybe just trying to find out where the problems are in the first place. That's why I talk about doing research and looking into things. It takes time to find out where the problems are exactly. You hear a lot of stories from people, this is a problem, that's a problem, but you really have to find out if it really is or if it's just one select situation where that was a problem. So that's why I feel like you have to really spend time doing these things, and I think that's why I would be willing to do that, since this would be the job I would focus on.
Thank you. Mr. Vanstee, same question. The creation of jobs and attracting new business to Ashland County, and this is not a new idea. So what plans do you have to make new jobs happen in the county?
Definitely work hard with the economic development office in town. They are when somebody calls in, at least into the central part of the county, they're the ones who get the call. They're the ones who answer the phone. You have the Chamber of Commerce up here, which also does help attract new business. You have the Mohican Area Growth Association. Yeah, I personally worked with the Economic Development Office several times. One, as Mr. Bittle mentioned, was trying to get a large firearm manufacturer here. Unfortunately, due to the politics in Columbus, it didn't happen. The other one we tried was a weapon accessory manufacturer that wound up splitting their offices. Once again, due to the politics down in Columbus, and that didn't happen as well. I do work with a national TV show. Every time I'm on that show, I mention I'm from Ashland, Ohio. And you have to take pride in where you're from. So by doing that and just being, the smiling face out there, working out there, as a business owner, it's definitely a challenge doing business in the state of Ohio. It is getting better. But I definitely think that with some guidance and leadership, we've got a good way to go.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle, what's your response?
Okay, well, again, I'll go back to what I don't think we have as much a job problem as we do a training problem. Talking to all the local people, there's lots of jobs in Ashland County that can't be filled by working people because they don't want to work. Do we need better paying jobs? Certainly. A lot of these are entry level. I'm not sure there's a guy sitting here that didn't start entry level when we started our working lives. So it's getting people to understand that's where you have to start. You have a working level to get started. I know I'm not answering the question, but the answer to me is train people. We can't bring tons of new jobs in the community without proper people trained to work those jobs. Not that I'm not all in favor for it. I think there's plenty of people out there trying to create new jobs. As county commissioner, I think you lead that charge and be up front, like I said, is being up there and say, hey, I care for my community. I need to be involved in that. But there's plenty of agencies that do that now, as Justin has said. Again, to me, the focus is if we're going to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett?
Sorry.
I think collaboration is important, working with the various agencies that have the ability to bring jobs here, as has been mentioned here. Doing whatever we can to market our community in a positive way. We have agencies, the Chamber of Commerce and economic development agencies that do those things. Of course, we could try to make those jobs easier, maybe by being more involved in those things. One of the things I see as a government, agencies tend to be all separate. There should be, I think a county commissioner should be at meetings for these various agencies, even if they're not a member of the board, just to be there. So I would plan on going to a city council meeting for Ashland City, Loudonville Village, Hayesville, all the various townships, and I would go to the meetings and see what they're thinking, what they would like to do, what they would like to see. Because I think, again, you have to be out there and know what the people are looking for, what they might want to bring. Maybe if somebody has an idea that nobody else knows about, to bring something here.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam?
I think Justin's got the right idea. We have infrastructure, we have roads, we have railroads, we have people. But I think what our problem is in our country, we have no, I guess you can call it advancement as far as business, because we're at a flat level. And until we could get this change countrywide and stuff, no matter what we do, we're going to have a problem. We need to get the country turned around, and so business are looking to go places and to go ahead and approach different areas and stuff like this. So I agree that he's doing a fine job of how he's trying to go approach his ideas.
Thank you. That was the first round of questioning. For the second question, we will have Mr. Bittle answer first. Let's see, Mr. Bittle. In your literature, you state your goal is to sustain the quality of Ashland County through integrity, honesty, and experience. How do you propose to do this, and why?
Why is because that's the way you need to do business. That's how I've been successful in business, which I think would be the same thing for government. I think you have to be honest, you have to be straightforward with the public as you are in business. I don't think it's really much different. Now, is the way you operate a little different? Certainly. But I think the county government needs some business eyes in there to get different looks at things. So I would look at county like I do my business. That's why I think it's important to be there and to do that. That's very successful. I'm sure these other two gentlemen will tell you that same thing. That's how you're a success. You're honest, you're hardworking, and you're fair, and you can make decisions. So that's what I would do and how I would do it. It's just a personal thing that I've done for 25, 30 years now, and it's just the way you do things and do them correctly.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, what is your response?
Well, I obviously can't speak to his platform directly, but I feel like it's very important, and all these gentlemen have been successful in business, and I applaud them for that. They've been very good for the community. I've worked in government frequently, a lot, with different agencies, the Attorney General, and various law enforcement agencies. Working in a government environment is somewhat different. There's a lot of issues that you have to be cautious of in terms of conflicts and improprieties. I think like I indicated before, I plan on being full-time and putting my time and attention for the county. I won't have any really other distractions. The small amount of part-time work that I do would be compartmentalized. And I would focus on spending my time and being careful not to make a mistake and do something that I shouldn't do in regard to being a government employee.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam, what is your response?
I think honesty and integrity is a good virtue, okay? And anybody that could do that would have my vote, basically. I take things and I do it on a handshake. And if I don't know the answer, I'll look it up. And if I look it up, I'll research it. If I still don't know the answer, I'll tell you. But honesty is one of the most important things that a politician can have nowadays.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee.
Yeah, honesty and integrity, unfortunately, in politics are almost lost anymore, at least on the national level. So bringing them back, we're a small county. All four of us sitting here, probably, if you look at the 4 degrees of separation, can hit almost everybody in the county. We're well known. We're successful in business. You have to be. Business's goal is to provide a profit. The goal of the county is to provide a service, and but by providing that service, it's as rewarding as what you can do as in business and making profits.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, in your literature, you state you are familiar with issues that are important to the community and the budget. What are these issues, and how do you propose to resolve them?
Well, my familiarity lies primarily because the issues that we're most attentive to right now are regarding child and family services and their budget, and the courts and law enforcement, both areas that I'm very familiar with. I've been in this field my whole adult life. Child and family services, I can lay out a plan that I would have. I know that the county's undertaken a study to try to determine how to best implement their services, and I applaud them for doing that. However, I think it's a $100,000 study. It comes from the state, so the county's not spending any money on it, but frankly, it's still taxpayers' money. It comes from the state instead of the federal government or from the local government. Almost all the money comes from those sources. I believe we can there's some sensible solutions in children's services. I think we need to place children with family members first, increase the number of foster parents in the community so we don't have to contract out at $100 a day per child. I think we can do some revisions on how we see things. There's something called alternative response strategies that other counties use that are useful in about 20% of all children's services cases, to reduce or eliminate the need to remove entirely. And as far as the Sheriff's Department and their communication center, which is the other big issue right now, I think collaboration is important. Like it or not, sometimes we have to collaborate with people, with others. They are doing it now with their enhanced 911 that we just read about in the paper and was at the last commissioners meeting. I feel, frankly, that they should have done it with the dispatch center. I still think there's time. The county can save a huge amount of money by collaborating with Wayne County and Worcester and Ashland City. Otherwise, we're going to...
Thank you. Mr. Hadam.
I think the basic issue on the child services, because of this $100,000 grant, it's been accepted, it's in the process, and I would look at the positives of all these things. They are doing something positive already, okay? I would wait until this is done, and then I would go and I would make sure that as they are doing this, I would put my input into it, that they do get the right people and get the right answers, that they have this survey and it's done properly. I don't want to rock the boat because I think there is some positive things that are done there, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Mr. Van Stee, what is your response?
We can talk research all day long. You do have to make decisions and stick with them. There's a lot of things we can mention the dispatch system. I honestly right now, I know all the parties involved. There's nothing that can be done for that. It's pretty much water under the bridge, and those jobs are going to be leaving Ashland, unfortunately. Regarding children's services, like you said, you do have to. We do have the grant and the study going on right now. Studies are great. Depending on what you take out of those studies and how you implement, it's going to be the challenge.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle.
Yeah, Job and Family Services, I've talked to some of the older people in the community that used to do it a little different way from a management standpoint. I think we need to look at the way it's managed, obviously with advice of people that's done it for years. My concern is that some of that budget has went to management fees instead of more for the children. So I would take a serious look at that. I'd also like to take a look at other surrounding counties in the state and outside the state to see how they do theirs. I think collaboration is an important thing to do. I just got a report from the state of Ohio, a 24-page report. Just got on my email as we were coming, didn't get a chance to read it. I'm sure it's got a lot of good ideas of how to change and to run that as efficiently as possible. But the bottom line is the children on that part of it, getting them into families as quickly as possible and not local families where they go to a grandparent or a brother, sister, or whatever. It's very difficult. I'm one of those kids.
Thank you.
No, I'm not.
Mr. Hadam, in your literature, you state one of your goals is to strengthen and maintain our rural environment. How do you propose to do that and why?
Okay, farmers are really important, okay? And the CAUV rates, they fluctuate because of how the land value are, and depending on the crop values and stuff like this. I guess what I'd have to do is advise the people how these things are going to affect them, because when they get hit with the tax thing, they said it's going to go up maybe 30% or 100% or something like this. You don't plan on this. And then the next year when you do not have a good crop, then what do? You're still paying the same taxes. It takes 3 years in a row for these things to come back to where they should be. Basically, if people want to keep their farms, somehow we need to look at, there's programs out there where divisions buy these and put them in these programs. If people want to do that, that's a great thing. I would just push farming. I mean, that's one of our top things in this county. I like it, and I think that's something that should be kept here.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee, what is your 1-minute response?
Ashland is an agricultural community. Flat out, I don't know how being a commissioner that you can go and and deal with the federally funded programs. Once again, you have to concentrate back on the budget and promoting the county. If we can do something on that to help build a revenue stream, I think that would be a little better off.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle.
I agree with Justin. There is, most of that's all federally funded. I do believe that as the county grows, industrial-wise, it always will take a little bit of farmland from the county. So it's hard to do both, to protect all your farmland and yet grow the county in industrial type manner. So, but he is right. We do need state agriculture from a county standpoint. I think it's no different. You go out there, you go to the 4-H's, and you let these kids know that we care about what you're doing, and encourage them to get into that business and stay with it. And hopefully the family farm will continue to grow and go from generation instead of being sold out, which a lot of them are, because they don't have the family to continue on the operations. And I think that's how you keep the local ag going, is try to encourage that.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
Lindsey, I mean, anything you can do to help the local farmer and the local business owner, for that matter, would be something I would look into. So I'm not super well versed on farming. I'll admit that up front. But again, I would look into it and see if there's anything we can do. I know there's lots of Ohio State. There's a big agricultural center here, and there's a bunch of agricultural advisors here. But I think if we just make the county overall more livable by having the budget in line, we could help everybody, including the farmer. And anything that could be done to help the farmer or advise the farmer if that was something within our purview as a county commissioner, I'd certainly be in favor of it. I would look into see what that might be. That would be my response.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee, in your literature, which is also posted on your Facebook page, you state fair funding for all agencies. How do you propose this and why?
Now, right now, the two largest uses of the county funding are Children's Services and then the Sheriff's Department. The Sheriff's Department is being whittled down. Right now, they have 2 cars on the road, max. The vehicles that they're using are, have 150,000+ miles on them. There's currently, I think at last count, there was around 75 children in Children's Services. What I would propose and push for is the only thing that are actually required by Children's Services by state statute are doing a screening, then also doing the investigation. Rather than the county paying $100+ as some of the other candidates have said, start privatizing that. Use some of the other agencies that are around and knock that down to the $25, $30 range.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle, what is your response?
I don't know how you can, with every agency having a different responsibility in the county, the auditor's office and the treasurer's office, they all have their own little things they have to do for the service of the community. So I don't know how you can fairly do that. It depends what the word fair means. I'm not sure what he means by fair. As I looked at all those budgets and talked to those people, they're all, except for Job and Family Services, which I haven't been to yet, that seems to be the issue, is where most of the money's going. Everybody else cut back to 35 hours a week, and their budgets have been very difficult because of that, including the Sheriff's Department, which is a huge problem. I think we've got to find a way to cut Job and Family Services, get more community activities from the churches involved to help that agency and maybe save some money there.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett?
Well, as Justin mentioned, as I mentioned before, I'm concerned about the Sheriff's Department as well. If this Ashland City leaves, they'll be in at $437,000, I think, out of their budget this year. I don't know how they're going to survive. They mentioned cutting some dispatchers. That's not going to make up that kind of budget loss. I don't even know how they could sustain a viable dispatch center with that kind of loss, let alone keep cars on the road. And working as a law enforcement officer in this county, I know that they struggle to handle calls occasionally. I want them to have more people on the road. I want the road patrol to be stronger. I think, looking back, and this deal hasn't been signed yet. I think the county could still get involved and maybe salvage some participation, and they'll save about $230,000 as opposed to losing $437,000. Children's Services, again, I mean, you have to do what you have to do for kids. You can get the local foster homes and deal with family placement in shortened time.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Hadam?
Okay, the Sheriff's Department is probably one of the most important departments besides Child Services. It does things that no other Sheriff's Department does. I've seen it where they have EMTs on the road where other Sheriff's Departments don't. To try to cut their budget, it's going to be hard. You have to wait till this study comes out and find out what we could do with Child Services. There's a lot of programs out there. I could bring up CASA, okay? But the problem is, until this study is done, nobody's going to want to change anything and start things. So I would say, let's wait till that happens and then go back and look at our areas that we have to cut and see what we could do.
Thank you. Time to move on to our last round of questioning. Mr. Barrett, you will be first to answer this question. If you were elected commissioner, what are some promises you would make to the county, and why is that promise important to you?
Okay, well, if I'm elected, as I've talked about numerous times, I will be full-time. As I said, commissioners with benefits make over $50,000 a year. That comes out of the taxpayers' money. I don't think that's a part-time job. I think that's a full-time job. I think your time and attention should be solely on that. My other jobs, teaching a class at AU and working a little bit at Loudonville, are clearly, I can keep those separate. But I would be in the office every day, or I'd be out at places where I needed to be, depending on what was going on. I'd look into all the issues that I needed to look into, do research. I've been doing that my whole career, looking into things and researching things. I know how to look things. I understand the law. I took some classes at Akron Law School when I was working on my doctorate. So I'm very familiar with the law, and I understand the law. I would be encouraging people to come talk to me or call me. I have a Facebook page too, and I would do anything that would, facilitate communication. I've had people tell me they're unsure about what county commissioners do, and they don't know how to approach them. They don't even know where they are, when they're going to be there. I've had people say they come to the meetings, around the meeting time to see if they can find them. That wouldn't be the case with me. They would know when I was there. They would know how to get a hold of me. I would be putting in the 40 plus hours a week there at that particular job, because that's what the people are paying me to do. And so they would get a hold of me, and I would come to see them if they wanted to. I have what's called office hours, what we do in colleges where students can come in and see us, and that's what I would do there. I'd have office hours. I'd be there for my office hours, and or I'd go to see with the people where they wanted me to see them. I'd meet with community members. I'd talk to them. I'd talk to business owners and farmers and anybody else I needed to talk to, and other government officials, to make sure we can find the way to solve the issues that this county is facing.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam, what is your 1 minute response?
Okay, it's kind of hard because I think all these people on this panel are my friends. So when you ask a question about something that they just said or rebuttal on it, I didn't know if Mike would still be on the police department there, okay? He's been at my house, and I consider anybody here a friend. So that would be the only thing. If he's going to do this full time, that's going to take a lot of time. And that would be my only question.
Okay. Mr. Van Stee.
I basically echo the same sentiments. It can be a full-time job. It can be more than a full-time job. Office hours are great. You can definitely burn yourself out having office hours and then being at all meetings and everything else that it requires. But I think all four of us up here are in that same boat.
Thank you. Mr. Bittle.
Yeah, I believe that it is a full-time position. I believe that you can't have office hours because of what goes on. I've known the commissioners for quite a while, and they've got meetings throughout the state. They get on different commissions. They're gone for a day or two at a time. Their schedule sometimes is very hectic, sometimes very light, depending on what's going on. So it's very difficult to say, I'm going to be there from 8 to 5. I won't promise that. And I don't think any commissioner should promise that, because they can't do that. So that being said, he's also correct that we need to be accessible, and I think all four of us would be accessible. We all have local, so we have local ties. People know where we're at. They know our cell phone numbers. They know our business numbers. They know where to get a hold of us from our churches. So, I think what I would do is I will commit to the county, and I will promise the county to give it my 100% best effort from my business standpoint.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam, if you are elected commissioner, what are some promises you would make to the county, and why is that promise important to you?
I think I would communicate more with the people. I've had people ask me, why can't we have commissioners' meetings in the evening? I seen a thing in the paper, and it said, well, there's a big room expansion at a commissioners' meeting because all of us came to the commissioners' meeting. Nobody shows up. I'd like to promote it, to have it a friendly atmosphere. When you go in, you're not intimidated, and I don't think any of the commissioners intimidate anybody, but I would just like to approach the people and say, here's your government, what can we do for you? And if I've had some people say, we can't come to a 9 o'clock meeting, but we could come to a 7 o'clock in the evening meeting, and could you have it at different places possibly or something? Those are some of the things I would promise the people. I would be honest, I would be trustworthy, and I would do my best when whatever I could do for them.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee, what is your response?
I don't have much of a rebuttal to that. I agree. I've heard that sometimes being there in the morning is a challenge for people who they work. They've got school functions going on with kids, and it can be a challenge. So staggering the meetings, having some here, some there, I agree is probably a good idea.
Mr. Bittle.
I think staggering times is a good idea. Meeting places, any commission has a difficult time changing the physical location of those because of what needs to be done, what you need. Everything the commissioners has is in their office. So I agree with maybe doing some staggered times occasionally. Until you get in there, though, you don't understand the magnitude of the job. The great ideas, and that's all we're all going to have is good ideas. We'd like to do this, like to do that. Until you get in there to really see what's going on, what you can change, is critical.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett?
Lindsey, I think it's actually a good idea John had, is to move the meetings around to different places. The Court of Appeals does it. I think they would have a harder time doing it than a few county commissioners would. The meeting I've been to, and it's again, I've had trouble going because I have a class at 9:30, so I could never get to the meeting except for the other day when I was off. So I think moving it around would be a really good idea. Like I said, the Court of Appeals does it. Moving at different times. The evening would be really good. I'm never quite sure why they have them in the morning in the first place. So I would try to accommodate the people. And as I indicated before, maybe I was misunderstood by my office hours. I didn't mean I'd be there 8 to 5. I mean, I would be available. People would know when they could get to me. I would still go to all the things I had to go to. I wouldn't be sitting in my office from 8 to 5. That's not what I meant. So I would be available. I would do what I had to do, be where I had to be. But I would also have times where people could come to see me, regardless of what I was doing.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee, if you were elected commissioner, what are some promises you would make to the county, and why is that promise important to you?
One of the first promises I'd make is get every agency on the county in some type of a short-term and long-term plan. The EMA, for instance, has to report every 5 years and it has to be revolving. Get the other agencies on there. When I was at the county commissioners meeting regarding children's services, I said, what are you projecting for next year? They didn't know. They had no idea. We're projecting 5 years out. No clue. And I understand it's a dynamic environment, because all of a sudden you may get an influx of kids. The other thing is improving communication between the commissioners and actually letting the public know what the responsibilities are. I know there's a county webpage. It lists on there what it is, but being a little more vocal about it, doing a Facebook page, something to that effect. I also promise to work very hard with economic development, getting more businesses in here. Ashland County does not have a spending problem. We do have a revenue problem, but you can't tax your way into prosperity. You have to, build that, fill that stream other ways. Thank you. Mr. Bittle, what is your response?
Not much of one, because he's correct on most of the issues. There's not much you can do. You got it. Communications is very critical. As I went through the county offices, what really disappointed me, and Justin hit on this, was I went and talked to one of the staff members, and I asked him the last time a commissioner had come and talked to them, and he said never. I'm sure there's reasons for that. I don't know what they are, but I think, as he stated, communications is huge.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
I would agree with both of what Justin and Mr. Bittle said. I think communications is very important. I was taken aback, as we all were at the meeting last week, regarding we didn't know what they were talking about. We didn't have any documents to look at. They were just talking and approving things, and there was no PowerPoint up, there was no printed material, wasn't on their webpage. Yeah, we could go and ask for it ahead of time, but I don't think we should have to do that. I think they should provide it to us. It's not a secret society. It should be open to the public, and people should know what's going on. It should be on the webpage. If something doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. But people should know what is on the schedule, at least on the agenda. I would be much more open and about those things. And I think that another good idea is long-term plans. It seems like when I read through the minutes, everything's people coming in asking for a certain amount of money for this little thing. And I don't know if they just do this until the pot runs dry. There should be a strategic plan in place to show what the agency's going to need in the coming years.
Thank you. Mr. Hadam?
I think the communications are real important, and if I was commissioner, I would think I would have all the department heads, whether it be once every 2 months or once a month, get together, sit down and discuss their issues. That way we would have a teamwork effort of everybody in the county working together. That would solve a lot of problems. Might have to put boxing gloves on once in a while, but I think we can get things to go so everybody goes in the right direction at the same time.
Good. Mr. Bittle, if you were elected commissioner, what are some promises you would make to the county, and why are those promises important to you?
As I've stated before, my big balloon is kids. I love kids. I think it's important kids. I think kids are the future of the community. I'm so happy that my own children decided to stay here, because so many times our kids, as they grow up and go to college, they live in the community, which that really disappoints me. I understand why they do it, but I think it's important to keep family and keep our young kids in the community. So I will promise the community that at Job and Family Services, I will work with them to find better ways to take care of the underprivileged children. I was one of those children. My family's divorced. I went through that. I moved to Hillsdale. I was on food stamps when I was a young kid, and I understand what helping from somebody else did for me. I had family members, I had neighbors, And I had a farmer down in Hillsdale that took me on, that probably saved me. So I understand what that community can do to an underprivileged child. So that's what's very important to me, obviously. And that's what I'm going to promise to the community.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, what is your 1-minute response?
Well, I think, of course, the children, I mean, we always talk about the budget because that's what commissioners are concerned about. But obviously, we need to take care of children. And, you know, we can do that in an economical way so that the children are both protected, but we're not throwing money away, basically. And I think, you know, those are important things. I mean, people may need help, and we should help them, but we should also do it in an intelligent way. And I think that's doable.
Mr. Hadam.
Okay, there are issues, okay, with the department that Denny was talking about. The problem is, I would go in a positive way, and I would try to straighten it out in a positive way, because if you go in, everybody's going to put their defenses up for you. And like I said again, they're trying to do this survey. Hopefully the 3 commissioners that are there now will work with these people. It's our input that's going to go into this survey to help them try to do it. And I think they could change it. It took a long time for it to get there. It's going to take a little bit to get it straightened out, because I know I've talked to other areas that do it differently, and they turn their children around a lot faster. It's just going to take us a little while to get it straightened out.
Thank you. Mr. Van Stee.
You know, I don't think there's a more giving community around than what Ashland County is. You know, if somebody needs help, you know, there's county residents that just really jump at the opportunity, and kudos to that. However, we all do have a budget to work within. There's only a finite amount of money there. We do need to figure out a way to get that, you know, funneled down, and as Mr. Hadam said, get the kids turned around quicker. You know, in some of the places, Knox County, for instance, they average 4 to 5 months. Even Richland County, they average 4 to 5, 6 months at max, and to getting kids, if they are taken out of the family, get them back reunited. You know, we definitely need to work with that issue as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Van Stee, Mr. Bittle, Mr. Barrett, and Mr. Hadam for joining us tonight. That concludes tonight's debate. You have been watching the Ashland County Commissioner Debate live on AUTV20 and listening live on radio at 88.9 FM WRDL. I would like to thank the candidates for joining us this evening for our debate. We wish you all the best of luck in the primary. I'd also like to thank Ashland University for providing the television studios tonight, and also thank the Ashland County Young Republicans for sponsoring tonight's debate. Special thanks to Andrew Keller for serving as timekeeper for the candidates, and also I'd like to thank all of the students and faculty of Department of Journalism and Digital Media at Ashland University. Thank you, have a good night, and don't forget to vote on May 6th.